Welcome to the space where creators have aligned a positive and intellectual collab of open minds. For sharing and learning from one another, it's a vibe. ReadswithRosa podcast on the mic. Subscribe, educator spitting bars. I guess you didn't know I'm multifaceted and humble, checking off life goals. The classroom is my comfort zone where I plant and sow seeds of knowledge, compassion, empathy, and hope. Reading is the key to unlocking your potential. Countless benefits, including cognitive and mental. Regardless of the genre, books are highly influential. Go get yours, I'll get mine. Making strides, monumental. Come rock with me and get down to this new jam. With my friends, I had a very simple plan. Educate the masses through books and life lessons. It's the grand slam. I'm out. Talofa, orana, Fakalofa, lahi, and welcome to the ReadswithRosa podcast. On today's show, we have a guest who has worn many hats in his local communities. From being an artist to a bouncer, a podcast host, and now an entrepreneur, one might say that after years of working in the security and entertainment industry, he brings the balance of being both book smart and street smart. Originally from West Auckland, Aotearoa, and now residing in Australia, he is one half of the team behind Matai Watches, the Pacific watch brand, which was launched in July this year. It is my honor to welcome to the show, Nick Williams.
Yeah.
How are you, bro?
Hey, sis, thank you very much. Fakalofa, orana, Talofa. Thank you for having me on your podcast for this evening.
I'm excited, bro. I'm excited. Before we get started, brief intro, bro. Maybe drop your villages, fam.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yep. So, again, Fakalofa, my name is Nick Williams, also known as the other Karnel, also known as the Sydney Bouncer. I come from, I'm half Cook Island, half Niuean. I come from the villages of Otataki and Avasele. And born and bred in West Auckland, lived some time in Gisborne, and now situated here in the west of Sydney. So, at the moment, and thank you very much for that awesome introduction, sis. That was awesome.
I tried to keep your street names out of it, but
No.
So good to see you, bro. I have so many questions about Matai Watches, and we want to get into the brand, get into the business side of things. But before we go anywhere, what I'm really curious about is, in this day and age, we're also very proud of our culture, our identity, our heritage. You see all our young people out there ripping hard, language, dancing, all of that. But I was wondering for you as a youngster growing up in New Zealand, culture and identity, how important was that for you as a young person coming up?
Yeah. So for me, I'm an 80s baby. So, growing up in the 90s, I think for myself personally, like growing up, like we grew up in West Auckland, went to West Auckland schools. And I think we were trying to, for the kids that I was around, and I had a lot of Samoan friends growing up. I think for us, it was about trying to find our identity. A lot of it had been sort of suppressed in a way that when we were growing up, like we didn't know if it was okay to be a Pacific Islander, if it was okay to be culturally, aware of who we were in a way. So growing up, like I had long hair till I was about 16 years old, but I could not understand why that was. It was the traditions of, obviously my Niuean side. But growing up, like I was trying to find my identity. I was trying to find was it okay to be a Pacific Islander in a way? I struggled with those battles right through. So as I gotten older now, have a lot better understanding about where I am with my identity and who I am and what it is that I represent. But it's taken a lot, I think for us, growing up, it's not like how the kids are today. A lot of them are very proud to be, Samoan, Tongan, and grow up in that way. But growing up back then, it was just we didn't know where our place in society was. So I struggled with that quite a bit growing up.
Yeah, I thought we had to start with that question because when I've read a lot of interviews that you guys have given, I've read articles that have been written about Matai Watches, and there's always the, what is the things that are what's mentioned are the things that are important to our culture, our heritage, our spiritual, spiritual upbringing.
Adding on to that one, just like, obviously growing up, like we had a church background. We did the White Sundays. We did sometimes go to church. So it was sort of on and off, like especially in our New Wayne family. But yeah, it was a little different for me. It wasn't like the most common on Pacific families. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of chuck that one in there.
No, of course. I mean,
um,
hey, like what I would like our audience to see is, the upbringing and, then and just the journey, how you've evolved as, now being a
yeah,
father and so forth, being a
100%.
businessman. So you and Andrew, Andrew Lui and Nick Williams, the
Yeah,
faces, the names behind Matai Watches. Andrew Lui is the founder and creator. You are, will you say you're the operations manager? You run the day-to-day operations of the business. But how did you two meet? Because is he also from West Auckland?
yeah. So Andrew is actually from West Auckland. He's a bit younger than myself. So we used to actually work in a club. We worked at a club out
Mm-mm.
here in West Sydney, and that's how we first met. Like we're bouncers. He was a younger bouncer. I was an older bouncer, a bit of a veteran, and our friendship, our brotherhood, sort of grew over that time with a whole bunch of other Usos and Tongan brothers. So there was a clique, a clique of us, and you know how it is, like boys hang out, sort of just sort of our crew and security, and that's how
Mm.
we've been friends, brothers ever since. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
been a
because
while now.
I've
Yeah,
yeah, because I've heard you mention in other interviews like the importance of the brotherhood, that close circle of friends, that you can rely on, that you turn to, uh, and you talk about honoring the
yeah,
brotherhood. And I was wondering, when you're moving over to Australia and you're trying to find a better future for your own family, how important was that brotherhood to establishing your own roots in a new
yeah.
place?
For me, so I've been over here since 2016, and in a way, like
Mm,
Rosa, coming off the back end of doing some stuff in the music industry, and that like growing up for me, that was kind of a dream, to really do the whole music thing, and and then to kind of my son came along, and then I had to kind of think forward, for the future of what was going to be best for my family because you know um, there was only so high of a pinnacle that I could really achieve within, obviously the music industry. And then just thinking like, okay, I've got to come to, I've got to do something, I've got to make a move financially. It wasn't good for us in New Zealand. I was a security guard. I've been a security guard for 18 years and I actually threw it in, actually just a few weeks ago. So, I work full time for Matai
mm,
Watches now, which is the biggest blessings in the world. So, yeah, to leave everything that I've ever known, and loved, to make a sacrifice, both me and my wife, to come to Australia and actually just seek, obviously seek the financial, growth that everyone had talked about. So we came here financially, but it was also kind of scary, you know what I mean? So to leave everything, like to leave my brothers back home, my friends and my usos, and leave, mum and dad, come over here, and then to try and I think for us it was about understanding that we have our family here, and it's scary, for a lot of Pacific Islanders that come here. They end up either staying here or running back home to New Zealand because they miss their family. For us it was about understanding that we've got kids, this is our family, and we want to plant a seed for our kids sort of to grow their families over years. So coming to Australia, very scary. Yeah, learned a few lessons, and then it was about yeah, like to find a whole, obviously you got to find a new job, new friends, and whatnot, just to build that. I think I was very fortunate. I came across as soon as I went in and started working as a bouncer. I met I worked with a couple of Australians up in the mountains, and sort of racism was quite a big thing as well. So there was a real big culture shock where I dealt with a little bit of racism, and then having to go from that to another venue, which was where I met all the boys. I think that was the biggest blessings that could ever happen to me, because they're all Kiwi born, so they've all been born and bred in New Zealand, and went through the same thing that I've been through, which was making the move over here to Australia, and then to talk with a lot of the boys and understand that like their parents still live back in New Zealand. It just you connect straight away, and to rebuild just to rebuild like your whole network. You don't know anybody. I didn't know anybody, not one person, until I got here, and so now I know a few people. But it's all about like just going out there and trying to give everything that you can, to give to your family, to just try. I think that's the biggest success point that I could ever point out, is to always try. And so here we are, sort of today, in this day and age.
Man, honestly, I was so excited when I came across Matai Watches, and then to know that you were a part of this, this company, this business, and just to see how you're flourishing, as a father, as a family man, and because for years you've been on the grind and in the entertainment industry, as a rapper. I mean, I don't think people realize, first you're a performer, creative, you've done all that, you've done the hard yards and that, and so to see that here's another step, another chapter of your journey, bro, that is so inspirational.
Mhm.
And I'm sure for all of those, our young people that know you, other brothers that know you, I mean, it really is inspirational. And just to kind of like hear your story continuing, there has been no end. You're just like, here's another chapter, here's another challenge. That's cool, bro. Like, honestly, I was just like, Nick, oh my, okay, we see you, we see you. So
Yeah,
I
but
just
you know
had to, I
what?
had just had to say that.
I know. Yeah, you know what it is? It's crazy. Like being an entrepreneur, is about always like, obviously always giving it a go, never giving up. When I started doing stuff, like I was in the music industry, just trying to build myself for 10 years to get to a point where I felt there was some sort of success. And then to go from music, when I got here, so it's like, when I got here, what's funny is that I actually I became a personal trainer here. And then I had a little
Mm,
personal training business here. And then I went from there, and then I also own a trading card company as well. And then I've gone from
mm,
there, gone into NFTs, and then I've sort of jumped over here to Matai Watches. And that's what it's
mm,
about. Like you're going to find something that really lays on your heart. And for me, Matai has been that for me. To go through several, like, you continue to grind, like even though no matter who's laughing at you, you know what I mean, you try one idea, it doesn't work, try another idea, it doesn't work. But what's really cool about it is that you have this journey along the way, so you start finding out things, how to improve things, how to get better. So always continue. That's what I always say, always continue to try, just try. You fail when you don't try, you know what I mean. And so I've always been a huge believer on it. um and I'll always be
mm,
a firm believer. One thing doesn't work, it doesn't mean that life's over. It just means get up and go again. So I'm a huge believer of that, and that kind of reflects on the success of what's happening with Matai. Just obviously just a short period of time, especially amongst our people.
mm,
It's lessons that have been learned over the last 20 years of trying to be an entrepreneur. Obviously entrepreneurship and learning and making a lot of mistakes. Failing a lot, but also picking yourself back up and going again. So it has been the biggest thing for me. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I do want to move more into entrepreneurship. You know, something that's really stood out, what I've really liked reading about you and Andrew is just there's no shame in admitting, we've made a lot of mistakes, we've struggled, we've there's been self-doubt, like
Yeah,
just being real and like telling our communities that is part of our
yeah,
journey, is that nothing is perfect. So I do want to go more into entrepreneurship, but before I do that, I guess I want to take it right back. First of all, the name and
how did you decide? Was that Andrew's part? Was that, did you both sit and kind of like go over lots of different names? Like, how did that come about?
Yeah. So the initial story, obviously, like, we've got our brotherhood there as bouncers. We worked as bouncers for many years, and the story basically goes that, and this is a true story. We went through a lot of ups and downs as bouncers. We see a lot of things, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't really say on podcasts, but and that I wish I could spread more. But like we used to see a lot of things, and one of the things that used to really that I used to hate, sis, personally, is that there'd be days where it'd be 3 a.m, and a young kid would be biking to the club, asking us, "So have you seen our parents?" You know what I mean? And something that, and it's for us, it's quite heartbreaking. It also brings us all together. You know what I mean? And then there's been times where people have pulled, done the old knife thing and done the old gun thing, and we see a lot of things that the everyday person probably should never ever see. And so when you go through that, like, it's also not just about the job, but it's also about the mental, obviously our mental health and our mental awareness, making sure that all our boys are okay. So every year we used to gift, items, gift presents to the boys for their birthdays, and it's funny because like we'd buy, it'd be like we have a new girlfriend and we buy them all this stuff, but that's what our boys were like. We'll go out, we're like, the boys' birthday would be like, you don't get one present, you get like several. You'll get like pairs of kicks, watches, and this will just be for one. Also, one of the boys would be like, I'm gonna buy him kits, I'm gonna buy him watch, I'm gonna buy him like just like jerseys, and that'll be one of the Usos presents. And we used to just spoil each other like that because we understood, like, man, we've never gotten this stuff, and we earned okay. Like we had it, we had money, but I think the main thing was understanding that we always wanted to get home safe to our families. And so every night our boys made sure that we all got home safe. That was a key rule, is to ensure that we always got home safely. And so when you do that for a long time, like you really start to understand. And so watches was huge for what we did. And Andrew at the time, he was a young entrepreneur dreamer. He's a dreamer, and he always continues to dream and never stops. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I love about him. And so, he obviously he's seen the light. Like, why we always gift these watches every year, but there's no Pacific watch. Why can't I buy a Pacific watch that I can gift to my Usos? And so, like, Switch goes off and he goes into a dungeon. He goes into a dungeon 4 years, and actually our journeys continue. You know what I mean? I go into this personal training space and card crazy space, and I'm doing my thing as he's in this dungeon for 4 years, and we're always talking back and forth, like, "Hey, so what are you up to?" Working on the watch also, and so every month it would like be a check-in, like, "Hey, also, what are you up to?" Just working on the watch. And I heard this watch thing for so many years, sis, and it's funny, like from the start, for like 4 or 5 years ago to where we launched. And so it was always an idea. He worked on it. You know what I mean? I always want to give him props. I always want to give him that love. So he created the watch concept, went through it, drew it, designed it, found the manufacturers and just like the battles. And as we went along, he was continued to share the story with myself. And I'm just like, yep, keep going, keep going, keep going. You know what I mean? It was always just keep going, keep going. And I thought we'd never get to, like, I never thought he would get to the finish line. And now he gets to the finish line, and this is kind of like going into early this year, and he brings me out. So there's watches on the way, and I'm like, bro, well, when I see it, I'll see it. You know what I mean? So, and then he gives me a call. Let's go grab some dinner. I was like, yeah, sweet, because I got the watches, and I was like, lies, And he's like, yeah, no, I got them. I was like, oh, can't wait to see this. And then he shows up. We go to dinner, sis, and he pulls out this watch, and it's basically how the Matai is presented now. He pulls out, goes, also, this is what I got. And I looked and I went, what? I was on the way. I was like, damn, bro. And it's sort of like, obviously it makes me like kind of cry a bit, but it's like, like I looked at it and I was like, oh damn, like, bro, that's amazing, eh? And then yeah, it's funny because then we started talking about business. I said, what have you planned in terms of the business? He goes, also put all my energy into the watch. all my power's gone into the watch, and he goes, but that's why I came to see you. And I thought, I said, okay. And I looked at it and I reflected on my own life, at that point. And I went, man, how many friends have I made? I made a lot of friends over my time. How many Pacific brothers have I made? I made a lot of Pacific brothers along the time. And you know how you just have like that diamond, the needle in the haystack. This is the needle in the haystack. And so for me, it was like, I just thought, wow. I said, obviously I said to him, I said, how many of these watches you got? He goes, I got a few of them. I said, how did you fund it? He goes, also I saved for 4 years, and I went, no, crazy, you know what I mean? And then to think like, man, I can't believe like you actually sacrificed all that time, 4 years, saved money, worked right, and then you know what I mean? Like he went in and he went in audit with faith. You know what I mean? Like he just knew it would work. And so yeah, like when it came, sis, it was just kind of like, yeah, he brought it to me. We had to, and I had to work out really fast how we were going to put this out to the world. And I actually took the watch home for a night. And I said, also let me reflect on this and because obviously, I've got a lot of marketing and promotions and business skills now, and took it home, reflected on it, and just went, okay, I don't know how to. I've never sold a product. I've sold services. So I've been in the area of selling services. So I never sold a product before. So I had to understand it really fast. And so I had to learn really fast. But I'm a sponge. I soak things up. And so when I came back to Nick, like I just went home, and it's funny because it was just kind of like God's kind of speaking to me overnight, and he's like he's telling me what it is, and I'm sitting there like, wow. I wake up the next morning and I give him a call. It's probably like 6 a.m. So hey, wake up! I got a plan. Got a plan, and hey, this is where we are now, sis. You know what I mean? This is 4 months. This is actually 4 months into the journey. And yeah, and this is where we're at the moment. So
every business has a story, a beginning, and the process they go through. This is definitely a story that can inspire other Pacific entrepreneurs, and I think it's because you're in a space that we've never seen our people. Do you know what I mean? I know that doesn't sound too good, but what I mean is it's an innovative space, right? It's like the big guns, big companies, and I'm just like, okay, we're out here waving the flag for you guys.
Totally get you. You know what I mean? Because that's all the thought process that went through my head, is understanding like, okay, boom, who's our competition? Who's, you know what I mean? Like I thought for that one night that I took that home, everything came to me. I understood. I went, okay, this has never been done before. There's nobody that we can copy. We can't just say, okay, there's so-and-so watches. We can sort of get an idea about how they did things, and then we can copy it. Or even to the point of looking at Pacifica brands, you know what I mean? So product-wise, is there something that we can copy, like we can implement to do it? And then and for that night, it was just like, no, you know what I mean? Okay. So it's like, not only are you going to get a product, you're going to sell a product you've never, nothing about. And so I've had to educate. So for me, sis, I've had to educate myself in the last 3-4 months real fast about everything to do with watch communities, being on watch forums. I've had to really update my skills and understand how watches work.
When I thought about the 4 years that he put into this, I was thinking, man, what spaces was he moving in? Who was he speaking to? Who was he, what prototypes was he looking at? I'm thinking, what manufacturers, like, was he looking at? What watch distributors? Was he buying watches to study them? Like, I was thinking about that whole side, or that innovation and mechanical side of things, but then it just seems natural that you pick up, and then it's like, okay, networking, distribution, it just seems like it's such a nice fit.
Yeah. So he's basically gone through that. So to give you an idea about where he started, and I know the story very well. He didn't know anything, right? So he knew that he wanted to make a watch. He didn't know anything about it, and so he had to start. So he's got a whole bunch of billboards. One day I'll upload the footage from back in the day. But he's got billboards, like he would just draw watches on it. He, even from the name, like we went for a whole bunch of names and went for a whole, Andrew's very spiritual. And so he's gone through the whole process of not knowing anything, doesn't know anything about a manufacturer, doesn't know anything about anything. So he had to start from the start, the real start. And it's like having an idea, and then you have to figure it out. And I mean, that's also why it took 4 years as well, because this takes time. It takes time to learn these things. And and to come here, and then I just kind of we fast track the process.
I mean, for you, you've just talked about, you needed to upskill. Like, you do bring some, you've got knowledge and experience, in some of the different hats that you've worn in different spaces out there in the business world and whatnot. But then I love how you're like, well, you know what? I also needed to do a bit of research. I needed to upskill. Like, that's you putting in that part of the bigger piece to the puzzle, that's like, 100%.
And the thing about like entrepreneurship too is like, I barely sleep. Like, I'm so tired, you know what I mean? But it's a tired that I love, you know what I mean? Like, I want to absorb more knowledge. Give me, I sort of get a bit greedy. So like, if you love what you're doing, you're going to do whatever it takes to get it done. You know what I mean? So that's also the joys of doing what we do. Like, we just love to learn more. You know what I mean? We don't claim to be perfect. And I think that's also why our people connect. You know what I mean? Like, when we put the story out, that we're just two security dudes, just a couple of dudes off the street. People connect with that, you know what I mean? We didn't sit there and try and say, well, we're these big successful dudes. Hey, we're just a couple of security guards, and that's what we are, and we made a watch because this is how it went down, and people have connected with it, and we've seen the results. Like, obviously a lot of people are wearing our watches now, and they're very prideful. And then also the cultural sense and the cultural identity, and also what our values are as family men, so our values are so invested in Matai, what we believe, what we stand for, our relationship with Christ, everything, our blood, sweat, and tears. The Rock always says it, blood, sweat, and tears, and that's genuinely what has gone into Matai. So it's not like we just went, okay, boom, let's put this together and make some money. It was there's so many layers. There's the 20 years of my of failing, that's gone into it to enable it to push so far. And you know what, for me, so it's about like making our people proud, but also like doing something that's never been done. Doing things that we're not, walking in doors that we're not supposed to walk into. I want to go there. I want to sit on those. I want to sit at those tables. I want to listen to those conversations. And I want people to look at Matai and go, okay, cool, like that. When they grow up, that's the brand I want to work for. So when we grow up, we're always told to, go and get a good job. But where do we ever envision about where we want to go and work? I hope that one day that our Pacific kids will grow up and go, man, I want to work for Matai Watches. You know what I mean? I want to be that business. And so, laying down the roadmap as well. So I've had to, I've really had to fast track everything and have a roadmap that spreads out over the next 5 to 10 years.
I like, bro, sorry to cut in there, but I really like how you said, you want to go into those spaces, because when I first came across Matai Watches, I just kept thinking, like I said before, I kept thinking, wow, this is definitely, an area that we've never seen our people kind of move into, right? So I love that you've just said, no, I want to go into these spaces, because I wanted to ask you, are you intimidated to go into spaces which
No.
is mostly dominant culture folks who are large corporate companies, you know, who could have the ugliest watch, but it's the brand name that sticks to it that gives that $1,000 price tag. Like, but then I listen to you and I'm like, oh no, Nick's not intimidated at all.
No, I'm not I'm not into that. You know what I mean? Like, I love that. That's what drives me. Like, if I'm not getting a thrill from it, then I'm not doing it right. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that. You know, there's businesses like Rolex, Casio, G-Shock, all these brands that have been established over the last, like, some of these brands have been around hundreds of years. And I know that we're just walking in off the street, but it doesn't mean that we're not. You know, we can't come in and get some of that market. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just, like, for me, it's not. It's about building. It's about building something for the future. You know, so in order to do that, yeah, you've got to move into these areas. I'm sort of not interested in staying complacent within the Pacific Islands, because I believe that um, by growing outside the Pacific Islands and growing into these other spaces, it allows our people to come over to these spaces as well. So it can be quite intimidating when people walk into a door and they don't see someone that looks like them, you know what I mean? And then they're really uncomfortable. Whereas I welcome that, you know what I mean? Because for me, I love having an intellectual conversation. I love having conversation with people, and I enjoy it. You know, I know that I'm not stupid, and I know that I can hold a really great conversation, and I know that I know a lot of information about a lot of information. So, yeah, for me, I enjoy it. I welcome it, and that's the challenge also. You know, like, I really see this company as being something bigger than even I can control. You know, I didn't. In 10 years' time, there could be a young kid that comes along who's brilliant. You know what I mean? And for me, I understand, like, if I can't do my job and someone else can, then I'll replace myself. Do you know what I mean? So, and we're at a point now that when we look at Matai, you know, we just feel like we manage the company, but it's owned by the people. You know, so me and Andrew have felt like that for, you know, for the last month. We go, man, like, this brand's not even ours anymore. It's like belongs to our people, because it's our people that's getting out there, that's representing. That's I guess, and what's really cool about it is, like, you know, they're able to take a bit of their culture wherever they go. They can slip it on their hands and walk. You know, they can go anywhere in the world, and it's like they feel a part of it. You know, our US market has started to pick up. And so, you know, it's really convenient for them. Anywhere they go, they can wear a piece of their culture. You know, it's obviously, you know, having the big bead necklaces and all that. We can't wear them out all the time, and our jewelry to really represent our Pacific people. So watches is a real awesome commodity to take around and be like, you know, and to flex that. Because it makes it, you know, and because of all the values that come back, you know, to our business, the people that are involved, the community that's involved, like, you know, this community is wild. Like, like I said, like, we're in a position that we just manage this company, but it's our people's company, and that's what we truly believe as well. It's like, it's our people that make this. It's not so much us. It's the way they respond, and, you know, and it's them. So we love it. We enjoy it.
Yeah, you know, the design, the aesthetics of the watch, there's just intricate details that really define the just the design and just the creative thought process behind it. It's really cool. Like, it's definitely something you have not seen before. It's very unique. It's innovative, as I've said. That's what's really nice. And I think something that you guys always emphasize is it's comfortable to wear. Like, our people
Yeah.
can wear it. You're not struggling to, like, you know, close
Yeah.
that strap. Oh, you all know what I'm talking about. You know.
Yeah. You know what? That's the coolest thing about the design is, like, you know, the way that he designed it was this kind of like, wow, like, this thing's big, but it makes sense because our wrists are so huge as well, you know. So when the Genesis first came out, and then the watches were able, you know what I mean? Like, I was able to put it on, and I was able to put it on and have a little bit of space. I was like, oh wow, you know what I mean? I really love this. And then obviously, because our people, we love chunkiness. You know what I mean? We love big, we love bling. You know, we love flashy stuff. And then just to have, like, you know, just to have the big wrist strap, like, was a big point of difference. You know, our bigger men, like, we were asked that question so much from the start, like, will it fit my husband? Because every time he's worn a watch, he can't fit it. And I was like, yep, I'll put this on some big dudes, man, and if it can fit them, it can fit your husband. And sure enough, like we've had a pretty high success rate, and then to go from there, obviously, like a lot of the design, obviously that comes down to Andrew, but it's pretty cool because like crossing over into the Manea series, which we've just launched. If you don't know what Manea is, that means it's the same in Samoan, I believe so too, which is beautiful. So it's the beautiful series, and like this was my first dig actually at designing a watch for the female series, and I wanted to, obviously I wanted to bring back a little bit of my Cook Island heritage, because if I'm going to run this business, I better get a say in some of this design work. But yeah, so like we obviously we want to be doing this for the whole Pacific, not just for the Samoans. But for everybody. I mean, look at the response of Tour Samoa to the world. How it united all our countries. We want that. And we've always said like our company is about them being inclusive, not exclusive. You know what I mean? We want to include everybody. We want everybody with them, not just our islander people. We want other cultures to wear. We want them to embrace us. So yeah, going into the Manea series and designing that one up. I was able to take some artwork from when I used to be study graphic designs in high school, and take a few patterns and be able to implement them back into the watch. My learnings from those days, so that's pretty cool, and it's pretty exciting because it launches like later this week, alongside other watch. Like when we first started this, it was like, because watches are not cheap, right? To create a watch is not cheap. It costs a bit of money. So to come out and put the Genesis out and not know, like, will we even be able to make a series 2, a series 3? You know what I mean? Be able to do that, like, we don't know. We've never been in this space. To be able to do that, like, it's huge. It's a massive blessing for us. So yeah, we've got now we've got 6 new watches coming in, which is crazy, because just to do one watch. Yeah, it's not easy. It's pretty pricey. So.
Yeah, I mean, like fam, whoever is watching, or if you're listening through the podcast platforms, MataiWatches.com, that's their website. Check out the Genesis watch, which is the men's watch that was released earlier this year. And then we've got the Manea collection, which is dropping very, very soon. Which is like the sister, the female version, the woman's watch. So, get up. Pre-orders are open now. You can hit them up on their Instagram, page. You can go directly to, pre-order on the website. Like Google it if you don't believe me, but get onto it, fam. It's interesting, Nick, that you mentioned, it's a pricey, watches, it's not cheap. But here's the thing, man, people out there spending like 200, 300 on these branded watches. They can barely get on your wrist. So why would you do that when you can buy a Matai watch that can fit your beautiful Pacific Island wrist, give you a bit of breathing space there. I mean, fam, come on now. For the female watch that's about to drop, one of the ambassadors for the watch is Miss Samoa 2022. Lani's beautiful promotion video that you can see on their Instagram page. Share it, fam. If you can't buy a watch, but we can do our part by sharing and just like uplifting and supporting our Pacific Island businesses that are really, this is not, they're in here for it's long term, fam. We're not just making a watch over a few months and then dying out. I mean, this is, This
is long term. This is long term. Like I work for this company. So damn straight that's gonna be long term. So yeah, get a support at local business. So let's grow this thing.
When Exactly. You know, Matai Watches, a lot of key things that have come out from the story or from your journey thus far, as a business, as a company, as entrepreneurs, is this idea of representation. It's about heritage, it's about culture, it's about ainga, you know, it's about love and just supporting, uplifting, you know, each other. And I have to not, like, I just refuse to believe that it's just you and and Andrew, like, I doing everything. I feel like surely there's this team on the side that are doing little tasks here and there, because it cannot just be you two. So I want to give you this opportunity, you know, while you two are the faces of the brand, and you turn up to the interviews, they're writing articles about what you are doing. Who are these people behind the operations, you know, who are the people that have never faltered on the dreams that you two bring to this journey? Who are the people that believed in you and are still there chipping away?
100%. So yes, it's just to clarify, sis, it is just a two-man operation, although it does look like there is a team.
Sorry, I take that back. It is a two-man operation. They'll be handing out part-time jobs soon. Look out for that, and if you're in Western Sydney.
It's kind of like this. It's like, you know, like I said, like, I've got a lot of skills and I've been doing this a very long time. So I know how to kind of multitask and do a lot of things at the same time, which I said earlier, I don't sleep when this because I'm driving this thing and I love it. So yeah, it is a two-man operation. Even though we do get some really great response, like we're out in the markets yesterday and people were like, I really love the campaign and I really love like what you guys are doing. And I think like for us, it's a really uplifting like to hear that back, because it's a lot of the times like we get some really great feedback back, and that's what keeps us driven. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, sweet. Like, that's like an energy bull. That's the Red Bull, you know, when someone really compliments what we do, because it allows us to keep going. And we don't get, not everyone's like cool like that, because there is some people, you know, we've had a couple of idiots.
You had a couple of beefins like DM, you know.
we pray for them, but it is what it is, you know what I mean? And that's cool, you know what I mean? But we understand what we're doing. Like, it brings attention. And you know, with attention comes with response. So like the response has been pretty awesome for us. We love it. We continue to do it. And sorry, sis, what was that last the second question that you said?
No, it was just that, like, who you know, support who was, you know, because obviously you're sacrificing a lot of time. So
yeah. So for me, like, it's my wife. My wife is probably the one I have to lean on the most. She's like a what would you call it? It's like a literature Nazi. So it's like this, right? Before I put anything out, I've got to get a spell checker.
That's good.
So
I'm glad you have someone to do that for you.
Yeah. It's like, sometimes I put it out there just to like make you mad or something like that. You know, it's like, oh, what did you? That doesn't, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't care. You know what I mean? So like, so we have those agreements. But like, this has been on and off discussions for years. Like, we had them. So that's been my biggest support, and obviously the kids, and you know, having like it's lovely to have our, you know, our friends support and our family support as well. So, you know, I know Andrew's like family is very proud of his what he's doing and what he's been able to achieve in this time, and you know, and I'm so happy for him as well, because to do what he's done, not many people do it. Like I said, the biggest thing that when I looked at it, I went, man, there's not any brothers that I have ever come across in my time of trying to mentor or trying to make better that I've ever seen go and sit there for 4 years, work for 4 years, design for 4 years, and just come back with a product and go, here it is. So what can you help me do it? So for me, that was a real eye opener. So for the work that he's done with that, man, like it's huge. You know, I always tell him, man, like I said, it's huge. I said, he doesn't think it's big, but it's big, man. It's big. There's not many brothers that are driven like that, you know. Some people find it hard just to do a smaller thing, you know, like start a t-shirt operation. Whereas, you know, you've done this for 4 years. You've driven, and you could have given up heaps of times and said, "Nah, stuff it. I'm not following this dream," but you follow through on it. So, you know, big props to him, and I'm glad that his his family as well. So because I mean, a lot of people don't realize that sometimes you come across friends that dream a lot. Like, I'm going to do this, and then next minute I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this, and you're just like, and by the end of it, like everyone's sort of laughing, like you're never going to do anything because you always say, but it's like, you know what? If you're one of those people that never could stop dreaming, like, man, you deserve it. You never stop dreaming. You got to where you get to, and so congratulations to anybody that doesn't stop dreaming, because why should we stop dreaming? You know what I mean? Why should we stop having dreams? Because people tell us that we shouldn't have that dream. Nah, always dream. You know what I mean? Always dream, always try. So yeah.
You've dropped a lot of gems about entrepreneurship throughout this talanoa, and I wanted to ask you about intent versus impact. So intent is what you're aiming to achieve through an action, and then impact is how a person or community receives that action, right? So reflecting on the journey so far, from concept to where you are now, Matai Watches, is it more about intent or is it long-term impact? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so it's a tricky one, sister, because it's sort of both. Like every day is a different day for us. So what our roadmap says for the next 5 years, there's going to be changes along that way, and in that roadmap, our goal is to be a global brand. And how do we do that? We don't know how to do that because we don't have a roadmap for Pacific brands that have a household name worldwide. You know what I mean? Like all we know is that Nike is a household name, Jordan's is a household name. The NBA is a household name. I'm sorry, I'm referring to like street stuff, but like Michael Jackson, Tiger Woods, he's a household name. How did they do that? They did that with great marketing. How do we do that? Our goal is obviously to be, and because what it does is by being that and being a global brand and being a global business, it allows us to come back and do the things we really want to do. You know what I mean? So on the side of, as we've been doing this business, we've also been sponsoring, our athletes, our young teams, our people and events. And we love doing that, man. Like you should see it. It's like, we make some, but we give it back. You know what I mean? And we're like, nah, like, because it just holds such a, like after doing it the first few times, we just realized like how happy our people were and how unfortunate we also are as well in terms of not having enough Pacific businesses that are able to donate, to able to sponsor our own people, our own events, our own sporting events, just everything that goes on. Like there's not enough that we can ask for. We sponsored the PATH program, for Western University, which is a PATH program my sister runs, that allows Pacific, kids to go from high school into, obviously integrate them from high school into university. Now, I had a discussion with my sister and I said to her, oh, how many Pacific scholarships are there, in Australia that our kids can apply for here? And she said, there was zero. And I said, what? Zero for our Pacific kids? I said, because back home in New Zealand, there's quite a few we can tap into. So over here, no, she said, no, over here, we're the only ones that do something for our people. As our university, we've got a $20,000 sponsorship that we, help one of our kids get through university. And I said, how many of our kids are coming through university? And there's several hundred that go through university every year. You know what I mean? That don't have any type of support, don't have any type of, obviously financial support. And for us, like it is about our kids, the kids of the future, bringing up the next, Elon Musk, the next Bill Gates in the Pacific. We don't have enough, we don't have enough sponsorships. We don't have enough scholarships that are going on for our Pacific people. So for us, it's about that. For us, like we see the bigger picture. We're like, all right, also we need to take it to here because this $1,000, this $10,000 is not enough. like we need to do more, and the way we do it is we need to make this brand. We need to get this brand from here to over to here, and once we can get over to here, it's going to allow us to come back and go. You know what I mean? So for us, it is. It's sort of like it's sort of half. It's sort of like 50-50. Sis. Like it is then the intent to impact the way that I would look at it. You know what I mean? So our intent is to become a successful, employ our people, and then also come back and be able to be those brands. You know, we jumped on the Penrith Panthers juniors as soon as as soon as it come up. Why? Because we don't see any Pacific brands that are sitting in there when our Usos was playing for Toa Samoa, and then you got half of them winning the NRL Grand Final, and yet we haven't integrated any I don't know any Pacific businesses that have integrated themselves within the club system. And the reason we wanted to be a part of it was because of how their culture was, about how they were how they look after our kids and how they integrate them into the system and make them better and improve them. So we really wanted to be a part of that, and we really wanted to be a brand that was like, okay, here's a Pacifica brand, let's put it on there. And we want to continue to do that. You know what I mean? And we do that by making our brand bigger. We need to make it bigger, better. We need to have financial success so that allows us to come back and help our people when they ask for it. Like, hey, also, could you sponsor this? Yes, rather than going to someone else that they don't even know and just try to ask because there's so many people that need it. There's so many events and just like our kids that need it. Our sports teams that can't find funding, like we want to do that. We want to look after them. So yeah, to put it in hindsight, sis, that's kind of what my answer would be. Yeah.
Man, just for anyone listening or watching, if you are not following Matai Watches on Instagram, hello, where have you been? Go follow them on Instagram and read some of the stories. Read the stories that are featured on the Instagram page. Now, while on the Instagram page, there are community role models. There are, well-known athletes. There are artists featured on there. But I wanted to mention community role models because the first watches that your company gifted to the community were to policemen. The people who are directly helping the community, youth pathways, people in mental health, and that was very cool to see that. And why was it an important thing for your company to do? You've emphasized a lot throughout here, throughout this interview, the Talanoa community, but why that particular part of the community where you're based?
Well, like obviously, like we work as security guards, so we work sort of hand in hand with the police as well. And we understand how hard their role is and how pivotal it is within our community. So for us, it was sort of like a 2-for-1 sort of deal. Andrew was going to an event at the time and just kind of promoting the watches, and he had seen the policeman and it just happened naturally. So a lot of the stuff that we do has happened naturally. None of it's forced. So he ended up like gifting it to the policeman, and we know, like we understand, because like again, we're bouncers, we understand like the amount of stuff that policemen have to deal with. We have relationships with police as well, and so yeah, it was just kind of like a natural thing to gift it to them because just of what they do for our community, especially in the West. It's not easy. It's not easy being not easy for what they do. So people just don't really understand it. And so that's just that's how it started kind of thing. Yeah.
That was very cool. I love that. I want to bring it back to you and Andrew. On your website, you wrote a blog post about Andrew. I guess you posted it the night before the official launch. So Matai Watches, for those who don't know, again, it launched on July 15th. And this is what you wrote about him. You wrote, his drive to create, innovate, and think outside the square approach will encourage many young Pacific entrepreneurs for years to come. You end, there's actually more, but you end it with, congrats, my uso. I respect you. I cheer for you. I encourage you. I love you. Your flowers are due. What I really liked about that part was your flowers are due. You know, to hear the story that you've told about his journey in terms of the innovation, the creative process behind it. Like, not too many people like to lay it out like that and give people their flowers. Like, we live in a
Yep.
day and age where people are just like, they see you, but they're not necessarily gonna congratulate you, kind of thing. So I love that you're just like, hey, that's what's up. This is what it is, right? Now I'm gonna throw something on the side here and say to you, ask you, that's so cool. I love what you wrote about him. What would Andrew say about you and what you bring to the team? What do you think he would say?
Honestly, he'd give me the biggest props ever. He does it all the time. So every time he's out, he's just always kind of will say it to people. Nah, it's all the also. It's all the also. So he's when you meet him, he's a very humble guy. He's very, he's a very lovely guy. So yeah, he would give biggest like just he'd give it also. So yeah, and I'm just like, no, stop it.
You're just
I'm
right
kind of
now,
like that.
like, you're like, oh, why did you have to do that to me, Rosa? I was not prepared for that because I was watching it. I was
Yeah,
like, you're ready to jump in and like drop all the flowers due. But I just, I
yeah,
guess I really love
yeah,
the partnership that you both have. And a question
yeah,
that's really been in the back of my mind about your team of
yeah.
two is what. How do you keep it professional? What I mean is, you have a friendship, very good friends, got a bond, brotherhood. But how do friends go into businesses and, sometimes it doesn't
Yeah,
always work out. How do you two
yeah,
keep
yeah,
it like professional,
yeah.
as businessmen,
Yeah.
as entrepreneurs?
I think it's basically respect, So for us, it's kind of it's funny. Like if you ever see how we do things, you'll sit there and crack up. Because we still do it like the boys, but we're both driven. You know what I mean? Like for him, he's trying to learn a lot of the stuff that I've known for many years, and so it's pretty cool. Like sort of have a mentor role, but then also at the same time, like the young brother is always he's evolving every day. He's learning faster, soaking things up. Like it's just that understanding of where we want to get to. Like we just there's no there's no like arguments or anything like that. It's just like, what do you think, Us? Yep, cool, and that's it. Ticked it off. We don't have to write it on a paper. We don't have to sort of like everything kind of gets clogged in, is in the head, and we know what we have to do. We're it's honestly it's the most perfect relationship that you can have in business. We don't have to sit there and sort of, you know what I mean? Like we do things because our values are both the same as well. And so when we both have the same values, we both jump on the same page. It's very often that we'll sit there and disagree on something. Because we're all good, like because there's no roadmap of what we're doing. So we're like, we give
Mm.
everything a go. We take every opportunity. Like, and if someone invites us out to something, even though it might be the 10th thing for the day that we've been invited to, we'll go. You know what I mean? Like we'll get on it. We'll do it because we'll give everything a go that we can until we figure out how what and what kind of system we have. So yeah, it's honestly I think people would just they would love what they see because they would think, how cool is that? These guys just do what they want whenever they want. And yeah, that's just kind of the way that we do business. We just get it done. The main
Mm.
thing is that like we will set jobs and you're okay. Also, this is what we're gonna do. I need this, this, and this. You're like, yeah, sweet. Also, I need this, this, and this, sweet. We get things done. We don't procrastinate. I think procrastination is the biggest defeat for a lot of people, is because so they say they're busy or they're too tired. It's like, no, you can do it right now. Like, you know what I mean? We can get that done today, and that's how we're able to accomplish. And I'll tell you. See, here's a perfect example, right? We've got a $10,000 prize giveaway at the moment,
Mm.
and this is what an average day of ours will look like. Now we ran out of our November special. We sold out because of Tour Samoa. They bought out all our blue bands. And so for me, I was like, no way, that's way too early. You can't sell those out. God, man, God, what are you doing? Stressing, wake up in the morning and everyone bought them out. And I was like, no, don't, but it's a good thing, right? So it's a good thing for business. And I'm thinking, oh no, I'm going to have heaps of disappointed customers. I'm going to have a lot of, what. So for me, it was like fast thinking. Okay, what can we do? And then I just clicked. I said, let's just do a giveaway. We've got 7 days left of November. Let's do a giveaway, but let's just do a huge giveaway. And, because in this day and age, you've got to spend money, make money. So I rang him up, and this is about 9 o'clock I came up with this genius idea. And I rang him up and said, hey, also, I got this idea. We ran out. We don't want to disappoint our customers. So we've got to give them something back, which is why we're running the promo. I said, how far are you from JB Hi-Fi? He's like, oh, I'm just down the road a few hundred meters. I said, he goes, I go in there and I need you to buy this, this, and this. So he'll go in there and he'll videotape you, and he'll sort of look at things, and I go, yeah, buy that one, that one, that one, that one. And I go, yeah. And then I said to him, hey, look, where's the footlog? He's like, I crossed the thing. I said, go in there and buy everything. And then we'll put it together just like that. For instance, and then by the time, and then he'll drive from where he is over to where I am, and I've already done the design work, and all I'm doing is taking a photo, chucking it in, cutting it up in Photoshop, put it in. So from 9 o'clock, I've come up with this idea. He's already done shopping, and he's already at my house by 10 o'clock. By 11 o'clock, we've got it out to the world. You know what I mean? And that's the system, and that's. I mean, that's how fast we turned it around. Like I woke up, went, no way, we're sold out. Damn, give them something. You know what I mean? And then 2 hours later, we're already out, and there's our $10,000 giveaway for the month. So that's the way we work it. And see, where I am, I'm in the West, Andrew's in the city. So to get here is about 45 minutes. But we do things now, we do it efficiently. And that's what makes our relationship work, is because we tick the same, we don't muck around. Like doing something is doing something now, So because we have both that same mindset, we don't procrastinate it. This is why it works, So if you've got something, if you've got something going on, just get it done. Once it's done, you can move to the next job. Allocate a next job, and that's like and honestly, says that's like an everyday thing that we would do. So just to give you an idea.
Oh, you're making me feel guilty that I've been putting off writing this lesson plan. Now I'm like, thanks, Nick. When I get off here, I'm going to get it done, because I'm not going to procrastinate.
Damn. Wait to the next one, man. Wait to the next one. So, don't worry, I got to because there's some things you procrastinate with, and there's some you got to do that now, man.
Man, you keep mentioning you don't sleep, you barely get any sleep. So I always ask, I guess, like self-care, but when you do get some when you get some downtime, what do you enjoy doing the most? Nothing business related. Do you know what I mean?
Well, to be honest, like the way I reset is I'll play some games. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'll play some video games sometimes with what I mean, with the kids. Obviously, I do my responsibilities as a father. But on my downtime, like I'll just sit there and play some games. And that's how I reset, because it allows me to kind of move my direction away and my focus onto something. Because the hardest thing too is moving your focus away from what you're doing and then just trying to concentrate on something different. So that's kind of what I do to get going. And health, and you know what, health is very important. Like over this period of time, like I put on a whole bunch of beef, and it is what it is. But I do understand it, and I know it's something that I do have to take care of. And try not, if you are doing this, man, try not to drink too many Red Bulls. Stay off the energy drinks. You know what I mean? Try something different, because I know a lot of us we smash those energy drinks, but eventually in the long run they're going to catch up with you. So yeah, try and stay away from them.
I'm glad you have some downtime. I'm glad you're able to disconnect at times. Sounds like, business definitely does keep you busy. Where to next for Matai Watches? As you continue to build on that blueprint, where to next?
I think it's always about being innovative, innovation and being creative about what we're doing, like the whole, like shooting the stuff of Miss Lani, Miss Samoa. Like that brought back memories of sort of like the arts and stuff like that, and I really enjoyed doing that. And so for us, it's about like just innovating and growing our brand. It's more about getting our brand out there and pushing it to depths of the world that we would normally never get to. We want to be recognized a bit more. We want to be recognized obviously globally. And in order to do that, we've got to continue to just to grind it out and market it out and have conversations with people and and do everything in our power to get it out there, sis. So we again, no roadmap. We'll find out what we do. So yeah, continue to drive.
That's awesome. As we wrap up the show, I just want to say, I'll give you an opportunity just to drop some final words, but I really just want to say, bro, I'm really proud of you, man. Like to see that see what you and Andrew have really put out into the world, just planting that seed and building on that, with Andrew's work for the past 4 years, and then you kind of picking up and you guys just mapping out a continuation of this journey. It's really exciting. It's truly inspirational. I'm like, where are all our videographers? We need to make a documentary or something about Matai Watches. Anonymous, Kanan, where are you at? We need to get these guys' stories out there. I feel like 20-minute segments on, on these radio shows are not enough. We need to get the behind the scenes of what you've talked about today. So I just, I want to wish you and Andrew, bro. I want to wish you and Andrew all the best. You're getting ready to drop the Mania collection, the female version, our female watches. All the best with that. Want to wish both your families, a safe and happy festive season. I look forward to continuing to follow this roadmap that you're just paving for other Pasifika entrepreneurs, other Pasifika businesses, man. There's no limit to what can be achieved, like you've said, the spiritual aspect, your heritage, your family, your villages behind you. That's all a big part of this journey. So continue with it and just keep going strong. Wishing you both a lot of love and blessings. I'll just hand it over to you, bro, just to round off the show. Of course, you've dropped so many gems. Hello, not only as in personal experiences, but also as an entrepreneur and businessman. So just some final words just to wrap up the show, bro, and then I'll let you go because I bet you need to go do some networking or something.
You know what, sis? I really enjoyed catching up with you. I'm so glad that you reached out. You know what I mean? Because it's obviously haven't seen you for such a long time now, and time goes real fast in our lives, and so we don't, it's sometimes we kind of take it for granted. It's one day we see people and then we don't see them for a long time. So for me, this has been such a sweet deal. Like to jump on here, catch up with you, see the smile, still the same personality, and I just love you, and I love what you're doing, over there. So you're still based out in Tokyo. Are you planning to come home at any point, hopefully?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Even that was a blindsider, especially with your brother and what he's doing, congratulations to him. But yeah, no, first and foremost, just thank you, for bringing us on the podcast and allowing us to come on here and share our story with you, and your audience as well. So no, we're just blessed, and so thank you for being supportive and appreciate everything that you're doing and everything that you do for our Pacific community as well. So look out for the Manea series because I'm going to send you over some as well. So God bless.